right again. Fucking chair squeaking like a... wait, my chair is squeaking like a... like a mouse, like an unoiled mouse at one end of a cheese pipe, a pipe that leads to some cheese. Justin Hawkins right. Justin Hawkins right. Justin Hawkins right. Justin Hawkins right again. Good day to you. It is I, Justin Hawkins. This is Justin Hawkins Rides Again, my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. So now I'm going to talk about Black Keys. I love the Black Keys. I really do. I'm a big fan of their music. There's one album, the Magic Potion one, which I just think it's a triumph. And I love all the stuff when it's just those two guys making a lot more noise than two guys ordinarily would. I like it when they've got the full band going. I've seen them live more than once, and I just really admire them. I think they're brilliant. But apparently they have decided to try and extract themselves from the bullshit of the music trade and do things on their own terms. I'd love to know what that means. So let's watch a bit of this footage of them discussing that, and then we can discuss it. Between us, we'll figure out if they're doing something that everybody should be doing, or if they've lost their fucking minds. Let's find out.
That was the whole motivation behind this record. Was like, it was to not partake in the current bullshit in the music industry, which is, so check this out. We had a conversation with our manager about this record, release. It went from everything like, we have family, we don't really want to be on the road for 100 days this year. We don't necessarily want to do anything. We don't want to do anything we're not excited about.
Oh my God, I already love this conversation. I wonder if the Black Keys need an additional guitarist.
Basically, it's like, we want to get in front of people and play our songs and have fun, and the conversation came up with about the actual album. Like, Warner Brothers was interested if we wanted to bundle it, which is when you include the record like with a ticket.
I've never heard of that one before. I've heard of, like, when he said bundling, I thought he was going to talk about doing like the different editions, and like you have like maybe it's an album, and then it also has a picture of the band which is signed by the band, or some other additional kind of hard object that you can put in with it. I think if you're doing like an album with a ticket, doesn't that sort of imply that you're in one of those 360 deals? It's probably not everybody is, but if Warner has the capability to include a ticket with an album, they must be doing the 360s, and must be Black Keys that are doing it too, presumably, or 180. I'd imagine that Warner's have got the publishing too, but I don't know that for sure.
And I was like, well, how does that work? And like, well, you would give $5 from each ticket back to Warner Brothers.
Aha, that explains it. Sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit there. So he's saying that when you sell a ticket when someone buys a ticket using the code that you get with the album, then you're obliged to pay some of the money back to Warner Brothers, who released the album.
And then you would get a record sale. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me and to Dan. And they're like, yeah, well, It's the only way you're gonna get a number one record. So if you want a number one record, you got to do that. So it's 1-to-1. Like we give $5 back, and then we get a royalty, and we get a ticket sale. And like, no, you don't get a royalty, and you only get an album sale count if they click the link, and we have a 50% click through. So in other words, we would pay $10 per sale on Nielsen SoundScan by giving the money back that we've sold on tickets to Warner Brothers, to our record label. I was like, fuck that shit.
Fuck that. I mean, that is the only response in that instance. I love these guys. So eloquent as well, isn't he cool?
We sold 250,000 tickets on this tour, so we would give back 1.25 million. Our record advance for this record was less than that. I was like, if Dan and I were just on our own record label, we could give ourselves $5 per ticket and count, and we just take the money from the right hand to the left hand, give you a link, and if you counted it, we get the sale, we keep the money. That's basically what the fuck was going on. You know what I mean? And it's all based on fear. Like all of this shit. It's like, do you want to be relevant? You know, that's basically the conversation that is basically being had. Not that direct, but it's like, as an artist, you better try to get good numbers, get that first week up there. And Dan and I were basically like, fuck that. Fuck it. It doesn't even fucking matter. People are going to come to the shows or they're not going to come to the shows. We're going to make records. People are going to buy them or they're not going to buy them.
Yeah, I always think that the stuff you do for the first week of release is the most sort of totemistic thing. And you can really see it. It's a way of mobilizing your fan base and achieving something chart-wise that you just normally wouldn't get anywhere near it, necessarily, or it's not a fair reflection of your sort of cultural relevance. And then the second week always tells you more about where a band's actually at, I think. Remember recently I was talking about Don Broco. They did a lot of different vinyl editions, which is not the same thing. It's not the same thing as bundling that as they're describing there, but I do think it's the same. It's the same way of sort of taking more from your existing fan base to achieve the perception of greater success than and so it is all about perception, and that's the thing that you're chasing, and it's optics, and it's like numbers, and it's nothing whatsoever to do with creativity. It's nothing to do with the culture. It's nothing to do with the emotions. It's nothing. It's actually nothing. It actually doesn't mean anything. It's really lovely to hear them talking about it in this way, isn't it? Because I just think he's obviously had a minute to calm down from it, but you can still feel the anger. It's great. And
I think that it's detrimental to the music industry, like to pay too close attention to certain metrics, man. It's like the whole system right now with these majors is like signing shit that has the most social media interaction, the most streaming. And I was like, you know what? When I was 9 years old, I bought Vanilla Ice's Ice Ice Baby. And I listened to that shit, like, I'm not joking, like 250 times in a week, like a fucking idiot. Like, that's who's listening to this shit. That's getting 1 billion streams in a month. It's like fucking 9-year-old morons. It's like,
I think he's being generous.
There are two different things at play here. There's the music industry itself, which is like certain people who work in the industry, high ups, are like, we need to sell records. We need like this pop producer to work with this writer and this artist, and we need streaming numbers. And then there's certain people, like the old guard, like the Lenny Waronker or Seymour Stein, or even lots of younger guys too. But they're like, actually, what we're doing is curating art that we really like, and it's either going to sell or it's not going to sell. Yeah, but I think it's a little bit that period of time when when car manufacturers, in order to make the supercar, they also had to make the really, really popular one that was a bit better for the environment. And I think there was some kind of legislation in place that forced car manufacturers to do that. I mean, I don't think there's legislation in place in the music trade, but it is the same sort of thing. Like, just sign something that everybody's going to consume, and then maybe your passion project, you'll have like the resources and the staff with some inclination towards supporting
something that is actually interesting. It'd be nice to think that's how like a major label would work. You'd have different parts of the stable that are focused on different things. I think it does work like that in the publishing trade. I think there are some really excellent people in the world of songwriting who need to sort of nurture the art form and the people that purvey it, and they do look after the artists and the songwriters. I would say that less so in the records industry, and I think that's partly because of desperation, isn't it? Because who buys records anymore? Far fewer people would actually buy a record, so they're always looking for different parts of your income. So if they frighten you into thinking that you need to bundle a gig ticket with your album to get a totemistic chart position that will benefit you as a priority artist on a major label, that's because they want a bit of your live income, and you're not on a 360 deal, as I thought they might have been on a 360. But if they're asking you to do that, they just want a piece of the other parts of your pie, because they can't make enough from physical recordings. That's why the metrics matter. I think they're going to sign stuff that's massive on TikTok because they need the cash. They've all got to go grouse shooting at the weekends, and they've all got to drive the fast cars and live in the big houses. And they've got shareholders and directors and all that sort of business stuff. They've got to answer to a lot of people who want to see numbers. They don't give a fuck about music. They want to see numbers.
Our place in the music industry is to do what we do, and for a while we were taking part in like the mainstream aspects of music. We were playing like the MTV Movie Awards and having these insane weird experiences only because we hadn't done it before, and we felt like we had to do it. And I wouldn't change anything, but at this point, like, I think steering as far away from all of that shit is what we want to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's not offering a practical solution at this point, is he? I mean, I think he's just sort of saying that philosophically, it's time for artists to be artists and pop stars to be pop stars. I can get behind that, but because the game isn't the same for everybody, is it? I suppose it's like, well, what are the Black Keys doing? They're trying to make interesting music. People appreciate them for that. They've broken through, they've crossed over. And this is the thing that I always used to say, like, when you cross over, there's an obligation to change your sound and everything so that you do more, fit into something that the mainstream can consume. And that's how you end up becoming Maroon 5, I think. You start off, you can hear guitars. Gradually they get the quieter, the synthesizers come up. But the Black Keys haven't done that. I mean, I think they maybe started to do that a little bit, but I'm excited to hear what they do next, because it's obvious that they've had enough of this bullshit, and fair play to them. Listen to the Black Keys when you get a chance. Listen to Magic Potion especially, and Attack and Release, Brothers. These are great albums. I'll do an episode on Black Keys because I do love them. Justin Hawkins writes again. Do not forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and watch one of these 2 videos. Nice one!